And welcome back to Jedi Enclave. I'm Daniel. I'm usually here with my co-host Chris. He's currently tied up at a Harry Potter lookalike convention, so he wasn't able to make it here with me today. We're gonna do something new. I don't think I've ever done this before. Um, so we'll see how it goes, and it's about to get real nerdy and real sweaty up in here. And I've got Photoshop pulled up. We are going to take a deep dive into some stills that we took from the Star Wars Jedi Survivor gameplay trailer that dropped last night. There's a lot of interesting stuff in it, so I figure we'll get the magnifying glass out and take a look at everything. But if you could, real quick, make sure you sub to. We're on YouTube, Facebook Live, and Twitch. If you want to subscribe to any of those, that'd be really great. And then share the stream. Right after this at 7, we're going to do our usual Battlefront 2 stream that we do on Friday nights. So we'll be there with our buddies from Gremlin Squad. And I've got my Wacom tablet here. That way I can draw little arrows and little boxes, and we'll use our my very, very limited Photoshop knowledge. And we'll go through a couple of these. And we'll start with this one. This game comes out in March. I think it's like March 16th, 17th. And it's going to be a blast, I think. And the trailer opened with a feature on this, whoever this figure is. It's going to make me rasterize this. That's right. What color should we make our arrows? You know what? Let's do the clickbait thing. We'll do very, very red arrows. There you go. So yeah, it opened up on this Bacta tank, or like a stasis tank. I'm not sure if it's a Bacta. I mean, it looks like a Bacta tank, but it kind of seems like this dude is being held in stasis. This the environment that he's in is like really messed up. Like you'll notice that on the floors, it's all like this looks pretty broken down. And in the trailer, he mentions being betrayed by someone. I know that someone from my mod group said something about Vader breathing. I haven't gone yet to verify that yet, so I'm not really sure about that. A couple of interesting things though that I noticed. I know last night during the reveal, I mentioned not seeing BD1, despite BD1 being all over this trailer. I just wasn't looking very carefully, I guess, for him. And there are a couple of interesting things about lightsabers in this. And here, I'll make an arrow to the lightsaber. That way I don't let you guys down. There's our thumbnail. There are a couple of interesting lightsaber things throughout. Cal's sitting there holding what I presume is a scanner. Here, I'll make little scanner waves. He's he's scanning. Let's move on. Let's get another one. So the big mystery, of course, is who this guy is. And I know a lot of you guys want it to be Star Killer, and that's silly because I don't think it's going to be Star Killer. There aren't a lot of ways that Star Killer could fit into this story, and it make a lot of sense. So the thing is that Star Killer was a really fun video game character, and because I loved playing the Force Unleashed games. As far as an in-universe believable character, he wasn't very good. And part of the reason is because of how massively overpowered he was. You remember that in the Force Unleashed, he easily, well, I guess he doesn't easily, but he beats Vader in a duel, which just would not happen. And he's able to take on Palpatine without immediately dying in the sequel to that game as well. This boy's got some real blue eyes. He shows up in another shot we'll look at here in a bit that makes me wonder like whose side he's on, because it kind of seems like he's like he and Cal are kind of together at first, and then he's with one of the like the villains who I don't know, maybe he won't be a villain. And he's got his Darth Vader breather thing going on. So he's obviously light out. I'm gonna turn these off. Oh wait, save some. Oh no, I don't know how to use Photoshop, by the way. He's also he's not a bad looking dude, by the way. Yes, rasterize it so I can draw. I don't want to draw on this one though. So we're gonna move on. He's a new character. We don't know who he is. Not Starkiller, I don't think. So here, we'll write that. Good enough. Moving on. This is so. There were a lot of really neat things from the gameplay portions of this, because some of it's just like I think it's all like gameplay stuff. I think some of it's like some stuff from the cutscenes, but a lot of it's this kind of like gameplay stuff. And it looks so. We've been playing Fallen Order on the stream, and obviously the whole thing is like this fight between Cal and the Empire, and it looks like they're kind of going a different direction for this. There are a couple of shots where he's like doing Empire stuff, obviously, but there's a ton of old Clone Wars stuff happening. So like in this shot, this dude right here is one of General Grievous's Magna Guards with the like the pole things that he fights Obi-Wan and Anakin with. And like I remember in the film in Episode 3, these guys were not easy for, like Obi-Wan had trouble taking one down really quickly. So I bet that these guys will be more advanced enemies, kind of like maybe how like the Purge Troopers maybe. I expect we'll still see Purge Troopers in this game. They showcased a lot of new Force abilities, and I think they're kind of showing this one off a little bit as well, where he picks up both guys. And you'll notice too, so we're going to talk about lightsabers a lot in this like super nerdy breakdown that I'm doing. I'm sorry, I don't have a life. This is what I do. If you know anything about me, I teach and play saxophone for a living, but after I don't have any students, it's just Star Wars. I just look at Star Wars things all day. I think there are two different periods in this game that are important lightsaber-wise, and so you'll notice that Cal has his like he's got his lightsaber, plus there's like an extra there's another hilt on his belt, and I think he kind of puts them together, I think, or you can pull them apart. Though in that first shot, he has like a double-sided one on his belt. So I don't know. It's good to see that these K2SO looking droids are still here. Also, this whole thing, this environment reminds me of the last level of Jedi Fallen Order, that Inquisitor base, and it just like with the red lights, it's obviously Imperial, like it's very Imperial architecture and everything. We're gonna have to move something real quick. Chris Gray, thank you so much for awesome content and for the in-depth breakdown of the trailer Jedi Survivor. I appreciate that, man. I'm glad that at least one person in the world doesn't think that this is way too nerdy. So this is gonna be one of the bad guys, and this, so like his design is pretty interesting to me, and I think it's everyone's like, you get really distracted by the spectacle. He's got a yellow lightsaber. He's got a really neat helmet. This looks very Starkiller-y. I will give this to you. At least Starkiller's, like if you play the first Force Awakens game, the Star Killer kills Vader and then becomes Palpatine's slave, and he wears this like really cool like evil armor stuff, and it looks a little bit like that. And so he's got a yellow lightsaber. You'll notice that the emitter design for both of these is the same for both of them. They're both kind of distinctive. They have this like forked configuration. The difference here is that this guy has these little wings on it, and I'm pretty sure that this lightsaber, the one that this guy's holding, like can double as a lightsaber with a crossguard. I wonder, hold on, maybe we'll paint one in. Hold on a second. We'll pick this color right here. And so like these come down and then make a crossguard, right? And this is interesting to hold on to because of another shot later on. Let's get our red back. Must have red. This is a shot in the Mantis. One thing I noticed throughout the gameplay trailer was that we see Seer, who has got a really neat new look, but we don't see Grease, and I'm not necessarily mad about that because I am not a big fan of Grease. I think he's really annoying, and he almost gets us killed. But what are they doing in the Mantis? Well, they're crashing it because why not? And the environment here is what looks really neat to me. It's not anything that I immediately recognize. It's got like this striated like geological thing going on, which looks pretty interesting. At first, it looks like it might be like a different location on Bogano, which is like the starter planet in Jedi Fallen Order, but I don't actually think that that's true. And there's this really great hero shot of them, he and BD1, like peering over the vista in a I think in perhaps the same planet. Like the color grading looks similar. There's this little village over here. I don't know if that's like a trading center. And then I think this guy up here, to me, looks a little bit like a Tabana gas mining thing, which I thought was kind of neat. So this might be earlier in the game. You'll notice that he's got that double-sided lightsaber, as opposed to holding one of the hilts and then having one on his belt. So this might be earlier in the game. I forgot what color it is if you unlock from Fallen Order. Oh, you mean the emitter, right? Also, you guys can see your chats, right? Like they should be popping up on the screen. If they're not, let me know in the chat, and I'll make sure I fix that. So this is the first behind, like this first shot of Seer, and this what I assume is this like makeshift Jedi temple. And they're like I think they're rebuilding the Jedi temple or the Jedi Order. The reason I think that is because in the next shot, which by the way, Seer looks fucking badass without hair. Like there are some people that can pull off bald, and there are some people that can't, and then there's Seer who definitely can. And she's got these neat tattoos and shit that I don't think were there in the original in Fallen Order, or it just could be that we didn't see her like sleeveless like this. And she's got some scarring on her head, which I think might have been her thing with Vader at the end. And Cal over here looking fucking snacky as hell. Like, oh my god, Cameron Monaghan still looks great. The reason I think that this whole thing right here, obviously, is reminiscent of the archives, right, at the Jedi Temple. And I noticed that some of the architecture around here, like in the background here, looks really similar to the old Jedi Master that you're kind of following around in the first game. This looks like his stuff on Bogano, and it makes me wonder if that's where they moved the Jedi Temple. If they're using Bogano as a base, and kind of like trying to find Force adepts and training them and trying to expand their knowledge with the Jedi and This is the other thing that this like brings up. We're running into a problem timeline wise, which is that at some point we're going to be in a part of the timeline where Luke Skywalker and Cal Kestis are coexisting, and presumably at some point where maybe Cal has died or just isn't active anymore, where Luke is scouring the galaxy for information on the Jedi to rebuild the Order. I imagine that this is a place that he's going to find. If he doesn't run into Cal himself, that maybe this place on Bogano is going to be a place that Luke Skywalker will eventually run into. That way he's after Return of the Jedi, he travels the universe or the galaxy by himself, looking for clues about the Jedi Order and this, all of the like the teaching tools that they had and all the information they had. Are we nerdy enough for you guys yet? Because we are getting super nerdy. This is one of the new Force powers that they're showcasing, which was picking this poor fucking stormtrooper up and shooting his friends with his own gun, which I think is really morbid. Cal is still wearing that double-sided lightsaber there, so I think this is probably earlier in the game. This also looks really similar. Like the environment looks really similar to that other place that we looked at. A reminder that if you're just joining us, we are right after this at 7 o'clock p.m. Central. We're going to be doing a Battlefront 2 stream as well with the boys from Gremlin Squad. It'll be a lot of fun. Another Force power that they look like they're bringing into the game is, the ability to control animals, which is a real classic Star Wars thing. And it's usually kind of a special thing that Jedi, like specialized Jedi can do. And they got this cute looking thing that I love. We're going to name him Pat. Good job, Pat. Here's another example of the kind of enemies that they're using from the Clone Wars. These are just like your typical run-of-the-mill battle droids. And I'm kind of noticing this this big structure right here looks a little bit like a castle. I'm wondering who is holed up on this planet, because it's not the Empire. The Empire wouldn't have stray battle droids running around. So it's got to be somebody that is out on their own with battle droids. I appreciate the breakdown you're doing. You just earned my follow. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. If I was a designer, I'd totally put a cipher in that blue binary wall. That would be really cool. That'd be super, super cool. I don't know if they have enough time to do that. You know how those guys get crunched. They barely have time to animate shit. I think this might be related to the whole controlling beasts thing. I keep trying to say bestiality, and I swear to God, that's not what it is. And now that I'm looking at, so this is definitely the same environment from that first shot of them looking over the cliff, onto the vista and everything. Because this is that thing I was talking about earlier that kind of looked like a Tabana guessing. But now that I'm looking at it, it might not be. It just looks like a tower thing. And if you look carefully, this right here was that structure I was just talking about in that previous shot. So it's all coming together. This is pretty interesting to me. So this guy looks like a Mandalorian a little bit to me, with the jetpack and the armor and the helmet and everything. He's got a really neat weapon. The thing that really caught my attention is the design of this door, I think, because what it looks like is the design that the Jedi holocrons have on them. So I wonder if this is some kind of Jedi thing, maybe hidden in plain sight or just forgotten. And then Cal turns on his lightsaber. This is that thing with lightsabers, right? So he's got one. He's holding one. The other is on his belt. I think this is one that fits together. But you'll notice it doesn't have the little things on the side that look like they're about to come down and make a cross guard. And from the same shot, there's this guy who is going to come back later because we're gonna translate this real quick. Let me pull up my Arabic alphabet. Let's see. So that's this. Okay, so this is like, so one of these days, I swear to God, guys, I'm going to learn this alphabet. That way I can. So there's that looking thing, which is D. So that's a D. And then there's this thing here. Let's see. It's like a V with a T on the end. Oh, that's an okay. So that's an E. And then there's this backwards N. What does a backwards N do? Oh, that's just an N. All right. And then another D. And then one without a little dick on it, which is an R. And then there's that weird looking thing, which what is that? Oh, that's an A. And then this arrow looking thing, which is an S. So Dendras, maybe it's like a bar. There's here. Let's take a closer look at this right here. Let's make my brush smaller. So this one, we said this was a. So this is an A. The backwards N is an N. And then there's a bunch of shit covered up by his head. And then that's a T. I can't really make that out. This one is a, what was the V with a T on it? Oh, that's an E. And then the arrow is an S. This one right here looks like a singular thing. Oh, that's probably an I. Not really sure. Does the next one have an alternate shot? Oh, okay. It kind of does. Here, let's take a look at this real quick. Oh, that's too blurry. I can't see that. Yeah, I can't make that out. So anyway, we got this big guy with cobbled together armor. There's something about this that really reminds me of the like Star Wars: The Old Republic. If you guys played that MMORPG, the armor looks a whole bunch like that, and it looks like a guy that could be in that game really easily. Here's another shot of this dude with the Jedi thing. They are wearing similar armor. The big dude and this dude kind of look a little bit similar. This was a in-game gameplay thing where he does like a little move and he knocks Cal over. But there was a neat attack here where he he's fighting with one lightsaber, and then he does a little like turn. And then there's some more Arabesh to translate right there. And then he does like a double-handed strike, which I think is kind of cool. What does that say? Hold on, let's get that Arabesh back up. This looks like a box, doesn't it? And we'll come back to that one. That's C. What did we say the backwards N was? Oh, an N. This one kind of looks like that a little bit. Oh, that's an F. Yeah. Yeah, it looks like an F to me. And then big box. Perhaps an O. And then there's like a little box. That might be a U. I can't tell. That's not spelling out anything I can figure out, so that's all right. Next, pretty neat moment. I was talking about this to the guys in my mod chat. Perhaps a different environment than the one we were just at. This looks a little bit more green. You can see kind of foliage hanging around from everywhere. And the reason that this is kind of neat was because also I need to I wish I get my hold on a second. You guys can't see this because I think you're only looking at the there we go. I don't think that changed anything for you on screen, did it? No, it didn't. Okay, cool. I can mess around with this a little bit more. All right, cool. Now, that's definitely a Wampa, right? And you might be thinking, well, Wampas are white. Why isn't he white? And the answer to that question is, it's not the first time that Wampas have been brown like this. And if any of you are closer to my age, you might have played Star Wars Shadows of the Empire on Nintendo 64. And there's a planet you go to and you run into brown Wampas. And it's pretty cool. They're actually, like, as a kid playing that game, they were terrifying. And here he is kicking Cal's ass. Oh, right. Okay. So obviously very Imperial architecture. And these are just rando scout troopers, like the ones that are really easy to beat. But like in the next shot, or not in the next shot, but you can kind of see back here, these guys, that red doesn't work very well there, does it? Are definitely new looking. And that's because I believe they are early versions of the Dark Troopers, which you might remember from the tail end of Mandalorian Season 2. You'll notice that the eye shape is pretty similar. They're a lot bulkier and bigger. This dude's got a Magna Guard staff. The Dark Troopers from Mandalorian Season 2, like the finished ones, I think they're like Mark IIIs, are a little bit smaller, a little bit more compact, black and shiny, and they have blasters. So this could be an Imperial research facility where they're testing these. These might be Mark II Dark Troopers, because if I remember my old Dark Forces lore correctly, the Mark I's actually had people inside of them, and then the Mark IIs were droids. Because that's clearly like a droid, it's not a person. And just another shot of that from a different angle. Got some TIE fighters there in the background. I need to zoom this out just a little bit. So yeah, he's cutting him down. As we know from Mandalorian Season 2, those guys do cut down pretty easily with a lightsaber. So this is like one of the drop ships from Jedi Fallen Order. I think if you look very carefully, right here, you can kind of make out the face visor of of either one of the Inquisitors or the other guys, the Purge Troopers. I think it's an Inquisitor. There's not much else here. Which one of these am I on? Oh yeah, same thing. He's just deflecting some blaster fire. And Cal gets blown up. And here's an interesting part from the trailer that kind of surprised everybody. Or at least it is interesting. There's this rando guy who is very handsome, who is giving Cal a, he's like, don't die, come with me. And they're friends, or perhaps they're in love, and I hope so. That would make me very happy. He pulls them up, they have a little bro moment. It's adorable. And then they showcase another new layer of the gameplay, which is this team-based thing, kind of like KOTOR a little bit. The thing I noticed about this is that doesn't this environment look a little bit like the planet from Mando Season 2, where we meet Ahsoka for the first time, with the dead trees everywhere, everything's kind of foggy and dark. You can kind of make out this building right here, which kind of has that Kurosawa Japanese looking architecture to it, kind of like in that episode. I could be wrong. It's probably not what it is. But this guy jumps in for an assist, kicks this guy right in the fucking face. It's great. And then one of the other creatures, which just like Jedi Fallen Order, every planet you go to, you have like stormtrooper enemies, but you also have to fight the local, flora and fauna. This is big rhinoceros-looking motherfucker. It's a great glory shot of Cal Kestis, who is just looking real fucking good. And you'll notice, I think this is right when he's walking in to talk to Seer. You'll notice this stuff behind him looks like some of the architecture from Bogano. So I'm thinking more and more, I'm convinced that that's probably where that makeshift Jedi temple is that they're doing. Here's another shot of some battle droids he's fighting. This is a really neat thing, because this kind of showcases a move that you don't have in Jedi Fallen Order, where he flips his lightsaber around and it he uses the Force to throw it out, which is really neat. This environment looks very derelict. This is obviously from the same environment earlier with the battle droids. So here's something pretty interesting. So obviously this is Tank Dude, right? He's wearing what looks like kind of traditional Jedi stuff. He's got like a hood, and however, we know that this guy right here, we have a fight with, or either earlier or before, and I'm not sure. This thing could be the same scanner thing that Cal was using to find him earlier. So I don't know. Either this guy, blue-eyed boy, doesn't take to us very well, and he doesn't like us very much, and he ends up doing his own thing, and he's more of an antagonist, or this big guy joins the party and is on is like on the protagonist side. Another thing I've noticed too, going through these, that makes me very happy is that Cal doesn't wear any ponchos, which is great because ponchos are terrible and they shouldn't be in a Star Wars game, and I hate them. So I think that's a super battle droid. These are just regular battle droids. The thing that's interesting here is, so he's doing the same thing where he's holding a lightsaber and he's got one on his belt, but you'll notice that when you watch the video, the lightsaber blade seems really unstable. It reminds me a whole bunch of Kylo Ren's lightsaber, and I think that this might even be one that has, you can't tell here, the resolution isn't high enough. It might have those little things that could create a crossguard. Same thing here. This is like in the middle of a move. I think in this part of the gameplay trailer, he slows everyone down. And he pulls this guy to block the blaster shots, which is really neat. This is cool. That I thought this was pretty neat. It's hard to show the intent of this shot with stills. Like you kind of have to see it in action. But this is one of their like heavy stormtrooper gunners who have the shield. In fact, if you play Battlefront at all, in the heavy class, you can outfit your heavy stormtrooper with a gun shield, just like this, which is pretty cool. But he's running up this walkway here, and he's swinging his lightsabers around, and it looks like a different style of lightsaber combat than we're used to in the first game. This reminds me a whole bunch of what is that, Braca, the starter planet in Fallen Order, where you first start. It's like that scavenger world where they're like tearing ships apart and stuff. Everything here is very busted up, and there are walkways everywhere. It looks like you can tell, just this thing right here, you can tell this is straight from Jedi Fallen Order. You're gonna crawl right up that. So this is some kind of crashed wreckage for something. Definitely Imperial, by the way. This, if you don't know this, this design here. Hey, knock it off. Is like a dead Imperial giveaway. Same thing, but this is, so the cool thing about this is that you use also, why is it moving my photo around? There we go. You'll notice that Cal shoots a grappling hook to hold on to this thing here, which is another new thing. He didn't have a grappling hook in the first game, and you can just make out the pistol in his leg holster there, which is really neat. So I think the number of tools you can expect to use in the game are going to get bigger. You'll be able to use your blaster pistol. You'll be able to use your lightsaber. I assume you'll probably be able to affect animals with the Force. And he's sliding down this thing. In the background, we got super battle droids here, and then the regular battle droids. And this is the shot that has me really interested about lightsabers here, because you'll notice that similar to that first shot, the little things that usually, like on this lightsaber hilt, that were folded up here, have dropped down into a crossguard configuration. And you can see that his lightsaber now has a crossguard, and you can tell, but Cal looks like he's had way too much marijuana for this. But the crossguard thing is pretty neat. This is different than Kylo Ren's, by the way. So if I remember correctly, and I do remember correctly, Kylo Ren's lightsaber was built. Oh, that's a terrible lightsaber. See if I can do a better job. I'm not an artist, by the way. It's like his normal. It's the hilt he had as a Jedi, and after he turns to the dark side, he bleeds his kyber crystal, and the electronics don't like the lightsaber doesn't work, so he has to add a couple of vents in the side to make the cross guard. And he's not necessarily trying to make a cross guard. It's just like he's got to put out excess energy for it to work well. Otherwise, it doesn't work. This looks much more deliberate. And these guys are pretty neat too. So these are more droids. If you played the Star Wars Episode 3 game on like PS2, I think you run into these ninja droids, and they're pretty hard to beat. They've got these like knives for arms. They're in Battlefront 2 as well as a reinforcement class. And then I think that's like the last shot, right, from the gameplay trailer. He cuts one of these guys down. This looks like the sphere part of a Lucrehulk class ship. So like the Trade Federation ship. It's got the radio antennas and stuff on it. So this is a Keter Nemoidia or some planet that was deeply held by the Separatists or something, and maybe they're still defending their own planet or something. But obviously won't know until the game comes out, which we will be streaming. I'll be streaming when it comes out, so that'll be a lot of fun. So last thing. There's our deep dive, our nerdy deep dive into Star Wars. But here in 20 minutes, we are going to be doing Star Wars Battlefront 2 with my buddies from Gremlin Squad. So please join us for that. In the meantime, make sure you sub and like the video and do all this stuff